Beijing has released a white paper titled Hong Kong Safeguarding China's National Security under One Country, Two Systems. John Lee said Jimmy Lai's heavy sentence is a warning to those who collude with external forces to endanger national security. And Britain's King Charles is ready to support police investigation of the former Prince Andrew over Jeffrey Epstein links. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The State Council Information Office has issued a white paper titled Hong Kong Safeguarding China's National Security under the Framework of One Country, Two Systems. Divided into 5 sections, the white paper takes a comprehensive look at Hong Kong's work in safeguarding national security, while stressing the security mission is a long-term task. Samantha Lee reports.
The document released on Tuesday by the State Council Information Office provides a review of Hong Kong's efforts in safeguarding national security, as well as the experience and insights gained in this process. The 5-chapter white paper noted that the practice to uphold national security protects the basic human rights, dignity, and the well-being of the 7.5 million residents in Hong Kong. In addition to a preface and a conclusion, the paper consists of 5 parts. The white paper points out that the struggle to safeguard national security is ongoing. The 2019 social unrest in Hong Kong posed a significant challenge for One Country, Two Systems, necessitating swift action by the central government. The paper reiterates that the central government holds the responsibility for Hong Kong's national security. The implementation of the Hong Kong National Security Law has effectively maintained the constitutional order. The document notes that the SAR government has fulfilled its constitutional duty in safeguarding national security, resulting in a more prosperity. Amid global changes, the white paper says safeguarding national security is a continuous process with no finish line. Chief Executive John Lee expressed his warm welcome and pledged that he would fully implement the requirements of the white paper.
The struggle for Hong Kong to safeguard national security never ceases. There is always a risk for our national security. We have to remain vigilant. Safeguarding national security is the jurisdiction of the central authorities. We need to locally legislate laws to safeguard national security. We have to fulfill our constitutional duty to safeguard national security.
Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Next Digital founder Jimmy Lai's national security case has concluded with a 20-year prison term. Chief Executive John Lee said the heavy sentence serves as a stern warning to those who collude with external forces to endanger national security. Former media tycoon Jimmy Lai facing 20 years behind bars. Senior executives of Now Shutter Apple Daily and 2 activists convicted of national security-related offenses received jail terms of up to 10 years. Chief Executive John Lee said the sentencing demonstrates the rule of law.
Jimmy Lai, who has betrayed the country and Hong Kong, has been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment, a heavy punishment that sends a solemn warning.
With more than 2,400 people having to face legal consequences for various offenses committed during the 2019 social unrest as of the end of last year, the city leader says Lai's impact have been far-reaching.
That said, Hong Kong as a whole has already paid a heavy price. Poisoned by Lai and Apple Daily under his control, some of our citizens, especially young people, have been misled to break the law and become radical. Western countries and also politicians have been bad-mouthing Hong Kong's righteous action. We will resolutely fulfill our duty to safeguard national security.
Following the tragic fire in Tai Po, Chief Executive John Lee said a high proportion of homeowners are considering a government buyout of their property rights. However, he noted that several hurdles remain, and the authorities aim to finalize a long-term rehousing plan as soon as possible. Samantha Lee has more.
Early last month, the government gathered the preferences from homeowners of went for court through questionnaires. Chief Executive John Lee said the questionnaires have largely been collected.
Initial observations indicate that the vast majority of owners hopes the government will expedite the handling of long-term rehousing work. A significant proportion of flat owners have expressed willingness to consider the government's acquisition of their ownership rights. Some flat owners have indicated that they need to look at the actual acquisition price.
However, he noted some issues to be overcome.
First, how to handle the differing needs of various families in a consistent manner. Second, issues regarding liability, compensation uncertainty, and relevant legal matters concerning the public insurance of wrongful court. Third, whether ownership-related responsibility and legal disputes will pose risks of prolonged delays in resolution.
Samantha, TVB News.
A murder investigation is underway in Tumun following the death of a 63-year-old man. The police have arrested his 51-year-old wife. Evidence displayed by the police included clothing, a mobile phone, and a cooking pot. The crime scene on San South Street remained cordoned off for evidence collection. The deceased lived with his wife and their 24-year-old daughter, who reported having heard banging noises early Monday morning. Upon returning home around 6:30 p.m., she found her father unconscious on a bed with head wounds and blood loss. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. The wife, who complained she felt unwell, was arrested by the police at Tumun Hospital. The police noted the couple both suffered from chronic illnesses. Some 89,000 criminal cases were recorded in Hong Kong over the past year, posting a 5.9% drop year-on-year. Police said fraud accounted for half of the total crimes and that the focal point of their anti-scam publicity would be investment fraud. Commissioner of Police Joe Chow reported on the city's security situation before the Legislative Council's panel on security. He said a total of 89,137 criminal cases have been reported, of which 8,823 were violent crimes. Crime cases dipped in many categories, but murder, drug cases, and car thefts rose. Meanwhile, fraud cases accounted for roughly half of the total crimes, reaching over 43,000 last year. 8.1 billion Hong Kong dollars were involved. Police added that they noticed ticket scams tied to concerts has surged to 2,805 cases after the opening of the Kai Tak Sports Stadium. Some UK lawmakers in Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party have called on him to resign for his era of judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson to the high-profile diplomatic post of ambassador to the US in 2024. Despite his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Tracy Furness has more.
Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer left his official residence, 10 Downing Street, in London on Monday under increasing political pressure amid an expanding scandal over his appointment of Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US in 2024, despite his known ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Starmer was on his way to a meeting with lawmakers from his ruling Labour Party as reporters shouted out the question everyone is thinking.
Are your days numbered, Prime Minister?
I'm not sure at the moment too many people would want to put a lot of money on Keir Starmer leading Labour into the next general election. But in the next few weeks, at least, he does have some advantages. The crucial one is that there isn't somebody who clearly is a potential successor, who is popular across the party, is popular with the public, and therefore perhaps might be somebody whom the party would be willing to fall behind in an uncontested election.
But the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland, Anwar Sawar, has called on Starmer to resign.
I am clear that I have to do what's right for my country, Scotland. This isn't easy, and it's not without pain, as I have a genuine friendship with Keir Starmer. But my first priority and my first loyalty is to my country. The distraction needs to end, and the leadership in Downing Street has to change.
Britain's Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson defended Starmer over the Mandelson scandal.
Look, the Prime Minister deeply regrets what happened around the appointment of Peter Mandelson and has apologised to Epstein's victims. I mean, what they experienced and what they suffered should be right at the forefront of what we think about in all of this.
This as two high-profile figures from Starmer's ruling party have resigned in the past few days. Director of Communications Tim Allen is the latest, just 24 hours after Starmer's Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Buckingham Palace announced Monday that King Charles III is ready to support UK police examining claims that the former Prince Andrew gave confidential information to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The statement came after police said they were examining reports that the former prince, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, sent trade reports to Epstein in 2010. Tracy Furness has more.
Britain's King Charles III was continuing to perform his duties as he visited Clitheroe in the north of England Monday. A crowd of well-wishers outside the station greet him and present him with flowers. But in the crowd, a heckler with a question on the minds of many. How much did Buckingham Palace know about Andrew and Epstein?
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein?
It is a very significant statement, and I think it had to be the case that something had to be said. We saw Charles being heckled last week, saying, "What about Epstein?" And William and Kate did come out earlier today talking about how they were concerned about the victims. The simple fact was that something had to be said, because increasingly people were saying, yes, Andrew did all these bad things he's being accused of, but also were there cover-ups in the palace? Did people know? And who knew when and what?
A palace statement said the king has made clear in words and through unprecedented actions his profound concern at allegations which continue to come to light in respect of Mr. Mountbatten Windsor's conduct. While the specific claims in question are for Mr. Mountbatten Windsor to address, if we are approached by Thames Valley Police, we stand ready to support them, as you would expect. The statement is the latest effort by the palace to distance the royal family from Mountbatten Windsor, as the US Justice Department released more than 3 million pages of additional documents from its investigation into Epstein, revealing more embarrassing details about the relationship between the two men. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And still ahead, the statutory minimum hourly wage is expected to increase by $1. Ngong Ping 360 celebrates its 20th anniversary by offering special deals and rides. And fuel shortage worsens in Cuba. Welcome back. The statutory minimum hourly wage is set to increase by $1 to $43.10, marking an increase of 2.38%. If the Legislative Council approves the proposed level, the rate will take effect on Labor Day, May 1st. This comes as the Executive Council adopted the recommendation of the Minimum Wage Commission to raise the current rate of $42.10 to $43.10. The government will publish the Minimum Wage Ordinance Amendment Notice in the Gazette on February 20th, before it is tabled in LegCo on February 25th. Ngong Ping 360, the cable car attraction on Lantau Island, is poised to mark its 20th anniversary by turning back the clock and the price tag. Apart from 70% off discounts given to locals for 1 day every month, night rides and new photo services will be on the offer.
Exclusively for Hong Kong residents, on one designated day each month from March to December, Ngong Ping 360 will offer round-trip adult standard cabin rides sold at $88, the same fare charge when the attraction first opened 2 decades ago.
For some of the mainland cities, friends tend to tell me that the overall atmosphere is not as exciting as what you can see in Hong Kong. With more targeted promotions to the longer haul mainland cities, we believe those overnight visitors will give us better benefits.
Their cable car service hours will be extended preliminarily until 9 p.m. on selected summer weekends to provide nighttime rides. Guests can also reserve decorated cabins and new follow-along photo services for special occasions with complimentary snacks. Ngong Ping 360 had an average of 4,850 visitors per day last year, broadly in line with the year before. Overall per capita spending rose by around 4.5%, while non-cable car spending jumped by a notable 20.6% year-on-year, driven by demand for Hong Kong and Ngong Ping-themed souvenirs. The fastest growing markets were Taiwan, the United States, and the Philippines, with increases of 38%, 37%, and 20% respectively year-on-year. For international visitors, Ngong Ping 360 will launch a global big occasion special story recruitment drive next month, inviting guests to submit their special moments spent in Ngong Ping. The 5 guests with the most impressive stories will win a 3-day and 2-night travel package to Hong Kong. They include round-trip air tickets and hotel accommodations. By the end of last year, Hong Kong was home to more than 3,380 single-family offices, marking an increase of about 680 in just 2 years, a rise of over 25%. The findings come from a study commissioned by Invest Hong Kong and conducted by Deloitte. More than half of the family offices operating in the city manage wealth of over $51 million. Their annual operating spending alone is estimated to contribute about $12.6 billion to the economy, while directly creating more than 10,000 full-time jobs. Deloitte's analysis also found that industry respondents generally see Hong Kong as offering more flexible policies than Singapore. Financial Services and the Treasury Secretary Christopher Hui says the government plans to submit legislative proposals in the first half of the year to expand the scope of eligible investments under the preferential tax regime for funds and family offices. Television Broadcasts Limited has issued a positive profit alert. The group expects to record earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or EBITDA, in excess of $350 million for financial year 2025 compared with $295 million the financial year before. Positive profit will be in excess of $50 million for the financial year 2025, compared with a loss of $491 million the previous financial year. In the fourth quarter in 2025, TVB maintained market-leading viewership of free-to-air TV channels, achieving an aggregate 81% market share of viewership. The group's digital media business and digital advertising revenue continue to see strong double-digit percentage growth during the quarter. Canadian Airlines have suspended flights to Cuba, which warned it was running out of jet fuel. This comes as the U.S. tightens its grip on Cuba's oil supply by blocking shipments from Venezuela. Danny Rao tells us more.
Air Canada said in a statement aviation fuel is not projected to be commercially available at airports in Cuba as of Tuesday, as governments issue notices warning the supply is likely to be unreliable. Smaller airlines WestJet and Air Transat also cancelled flights due to anticipated fuel shortages. The shortfall is set to last from February 10th until March 11th. It comes just 2 days after Cuban officials said air travel would not initially be impacted by a fuel rationing plan announced on Friday. The Cuban Aviation Corporation said it is continuing to work to ensure the safety, fluidity and order of the airspace, as well as supporting airline operations. Due to the fuel restrictions announced by the Cuban authorities, Spanish carrier Air Europa said it would make a refueling stop at Santo Domingo Airport in the Dominican Republic. Cuba has historically relied on Venezuela to provide much of its jet fuel, but the Caribbean island nation has not received any crude or refined products from its top ally since mid-December, when the US moved to block Venezuela's exports. US President Donald Trump has since vowed Cuba would receive no more oil from Venezuela and has threatened to slap tariffs on any nation sending fuel to Cuba, effectively cutting off Cuba's supply of aviation petrol. The United Nations expressed concerns over fuel scarcity in Cuba and its implications on the operation of airports.
Turning to Cuba, I can tell you that the United Nations continue to monitor the situation in that country and is working with the government to provide more support, including food, water, sanitation, and health care. We are concerned about the growing fuel shortages and their impact on people.
General TV News.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi will attend the annual Munich Security Conference in Germany later this week. Prior to the 3-day event, a report titled Under Destruction was released by the organizer, pointing out the world has entered into a period of wrecking ball politics. Danny Zhou has a story.
Wang Yi is set to deliver a speech at the China session of the 62nd Munich Security Conference, which is expected to bring together nearly 50 state and government leaders alongside hundreds of decision-makers and opinion leaders. A foreign ministry spokesman said Wang's visit was at the invitation of the Hungarian foreign minister, as well as WSC chairman Wolfgang Eisinger.
My hope.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will also head a delegation of officials to the conference this weekend. The WSC's organizers wrote in the Munich Security Report 2026, released on Monday, that the most powerful of those who take the axe to existing rules and institutions is U.S. President Donald Trump. Eisinger, a former U.S. ambassador, noted the attention that the conference was attracting this year was caused by the changing role of the U.S. in the international system. According to the report, the political forces favoring destruction over reform are gaining momentum in many Western countries. It observes that the phenomenon is driven by disenchantment with the performance of democratic institutions and a loss of trust in political course corrections. The report also gives a stern warning of a possible shift toward transactional deals over principled cooperation, private interests over public good, and regional hegemons over universal norms. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
From prenatal care to cancer detection, the work of Professor Dennis Loh has transformed medicine, and it all started with addressing medical needs of society. Being the Vice Chancellor and President of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, Loh says the CUHK has been leading local universities in patent and royalty applications. Speaking on TVB's Straight Talk program, Loh shares his views on extending the reaches of research and scientific discovery in the real world.
Ultimately, the inventions that we make in university can only reach the society through a process of commercialization. Right. And if we have to ask companies to invest millions or even more into developing technology, the companies will need some reassurance that they have some sort of protection. And this is where IP come into play.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.